Here we go for the walkthrough for Edexcel Foundation from November 2021, and it's paper 3, so calculators at the ready. Okay, so on to the first page. Let's make sure we don't do anything daft. Don't overcomplicate, keep things simple, but also make sure you don't drop any easy marks. So percentage to a decimal, that means divide it by 100 to give you 0.45. Question 2, when I'm writing down factors, obviously this asks for any two. Always best to write down your factors in pairs, so any of those two will get you the mark. On to question 3, what is the time? 2 hours 40, so I always prefer to add on the minutes first, so that'll make it 45 on the end. And then there's no minutes to carry over, so just add on the 2 to 8 to get 10:45. Fractions of amounts on a calc, depends on whether you want to put fractions in or just divide by the bottom. At the end of the day, the right answer is 11. On to question 5. I'll not make too much of a fool of myself. I'll just say get your ruler, measure the distance and pop across in the midpoint. Notice it's only mark across, so it's just measure with a ruler. It wasn't a case of a perpendicular bisector required. That'd be worth more than 1 mark. So this is literally just measure with your ruler and divide the distance by 2. Question 6, simplify, put your numbers first, and letters I always prefer to put in order. Question B, part B, 4x take away 1x gives you 3x, and you've got positive 3, positive 5, so positive 8. Next page, on to question 7, listing outcomes, so simply be systematic. You've got an E with the other two, an F with the other two, and a G with the other two. JK, 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 in any order, but I always think it's best to be systematic. Next, on Monday, so I do this one thing at a time. It's not quite the wordy question yet, but 2 plane tickets, so times it by 2. So onto your calc. Each night in the hotel, there's 7, so times it by 7. And each theme park ticket, Sandy buys 2 of them, so that's 500. Show that Sandy pays more, so if you add them all up, it ends up being $40 more, $2,540. Number 9, two-way table. Lots of information, so one thing at a time. Simply do the right takeaways at the right time. Fill in the blocks as you go. So, Vadim has 56 clocks. That's in total. Clocks are only, well, who cares? 32 are plastic. In goes the 32. So do a takeaway. In goes the 24. 5 of the 14 blue. 14 blue. 5 of those are plastic. So in goes a 9. 8 of the 12 red. So if there's 12 red, you can fill that 30 in. If 8 are not plastic, you can fill the 4 in. Reading across, 24 take away the 8 and the 9, leaves you with 7. 32 take away the 4 and the 5, leaves you with 23. And to double check, they were the final ones I added in. So make sure that the final column is correct. Number 10, Karina has £300 to spend. Each book costs that amount. So how many can she buy? Divide it by 4.85 for a horrible decimal. Doesn't matter how accurate you write it down, because at the end of the day, she can't buy 0.8 of a book, so has to be rounded down. So it's 61 books is the most she's able to buy. Number 11. So obviously you can use your calculator. 3 lots of 60 make 180 minutes. And that'll be 16 minutes left over. Question B, you don't have to worry too much about it, but it is speed equals distance divided by time. So a train travels x is the distance over 2. It gives you distance divided by time, which is your speed. Only worth 1 mark, so nothing more required than that. Number 12. Now I've done this properly on my own. Worked answers. Check out my PDF across on the website. When I measured it, I got 2.5 centimetres for that distance there. So you multiply it because it's 1 to 20, so times it by 20. Correct answer of 50. And I know that's the perfect answer because the mark scheme gives you the exact same plus and minus 4 either way. Next, so to go from one thing to another, it's multiply by 1,200. But there's no change of units there, so that's centimetres before, it's centimetres after. Answers required in metres, and the conversion of centimetres to metres, divide it by 100. On to number 13. So, very common ratios and fractions going from one to the other. So what percentage is land? So land is 2 out of the total of 5. So that's the fraction, which is land. To change it into a percentage, times it by 100, giving you 40%. Next on to the southern hemisphere. If 20% is land, that means 80% is water. And you can leave, it doesn't say cancel down, simplify, or whatever. If you do, as long as you get somewhere, 2 to 8, also acceptable, and obviously lots of others as well. Number 14. So, not the wordiest of wordies, more to do with the calculator use. So, 13/15 is for the building, the rest. So the rest is 2/15 of 600 million. The answer is required in millions, so no need to put the 6 noughts on. And the word of means times. So into your calculator, should spit out 80. Jenna measures these 4 angles. What's a problem? I'm afraid her total is 260. So you need something along the lines of should be 360. So worth 1 mark. I know it's got 3 lines to fill in, doesn't mean fill them all. Don't overcomplicate. 1 mark. Describe fully. Always state the obvious. It's bigger. To make sure you stick in the enlargement. Now, if you're the sort of person who draws your rays to find the centre, that's fine. But because they overlap, they actually have a common point, because that point does not move at all. So that coordinate 1, 1 must be the centre. And if we check the horizontal, that distance there is 1 square. The enlargement is 4 squares. So your scale factor is a multiplier of 4. On to number 17. So we've got some algebra. Expand means multiply out. So y times y squared, y times positive 5, positive 5y. Factorize means the opposite. Put the brackets back in. take out a common factor. The only thing that these two things have in common is that they be in the 2 times table. So 2 times 2a gives you 4a. 2 times -3 gives you minus or -6. Question C. Yeah, you could divide both sides by 2, but I have got a preference for expanding brackets. Adding 8 to both sides. So it's one of those strange answers, but you're on a calculator, so no answers off limits. So divide both sides by 10. Gives you the unusual answer of 2.9. Question D. Do your numbers first. 4 times 5 is 20. And don't forget, if there isn't a power, it's a 1. So e squared times e is e cubed. F to the power of 1 times f to the power of 3 is f to the power of 4. Number 18, take care on this one. So just to picture it, because the answer, people get caught out, think it's 100. No, because if you picture 1 meter squared, that's 1 meter by 1 meter. The same size square, so the area of that is 1 meter squared. It would be 100 by 100 to get the answer in centimeters squared. 100 times 100, it's 10,000. Take care with those. They look easy. I'm afraid they're not as easy as you might think. Number 19, don't get put off. One thing at a time. The square around is 8 by 8. So even if you're not a big fan, at least earn an easy mark by working out the area of the big square as a whole. And oh look, it's one of those questions that's left the units out, so make sure you include them. Then we need the area of these triangles. Well, let's do one of them. Half the base times the height. So each one's a half times 5 times 3. Half times 15 means each one is 7.5. But there's 4 of them, so 7.5 times 4 means they total 30 centimeters squared. You do a takeaway, you get the correct answer of 34 centimeters squared. Into the 20s we go. So a bog standard stem and leaf diagram. Can do your rough working out down here if you want. Up here, because my thing is pretty jumbo, I'll do it down here. So pick a number first of all for the key, because otherwise you can easily forget it. And let's plough on. So first number is 15, 1 and 5, 20, 25, 33, 17, 22, 25, 18, 22, 19, 32, 35, 24, nearly there, 28 and 19. So let's get them in order. Get the spine correct first, and the row for the teens, so to speak, is already in order. Next one, not quite. So 0, 2, 2. There's a 4 and a 5, and then we've got another 5 and an 8, and the 3, the 30s, is 2, 3, 5. There's 15 plants. Have a little count up. 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 15. Great stuff. I haven't missed any out. So, on to number 21. As you can see, I've cheated due to my awful ability with technology. But let's do part A first. Write down the coordinates of the outlier. That's that one up there. And that's the coordinate 100, 18 up. For another day, so line of best fit. Try to follow the general trend. It's a strange one with these ones down here, so it's not the most straightforward, but the mark scheme does allow plenty of leeway in regards to 12.8 to 14.8 for your answer. What's mine coming out as? Just above 13, really, so about 13.2. For mine, I'll take that, considering my inability. Yours, I'm sure, will be a heck of a lot better than that. Alfie says, because there is an outlier, there is no correlation. Is Alfie correct? Absolutely not. All right, let's not forget. Outliers are exactly that. They can be ignored. Doesn't mean because there's an extra cross here or there that there isn't still a general relationship or correlation between the two bits of information. On to number 22. So Natalie, making potato cakes. Wordy, ratio, I know people aren't a big fan, but one thing at a time. Get the information organised. There's potato, there's cheese, there's onion, there's 9, there's 2, 1, and there's a total of 12. So if we had 9 grams, 2 grams, and 1 gram of each, that would be their ratio, and we'd have a total of 12 grams. Natalie wants the total to be 6,000 grams. So do a divide, that gives you a multiplier, of 500. Now, because we're only interested in cheese, there's only that to be multiplied. So 1,000 grams we could convert to kilograms, but seeing as the cheese cost is there. So Natalie needs 1,000 grams of cheese. She knows that 175 grams costs £2.25. So what is the multiplier to get from 175 grams to 1,000 grams? Find your multiplier by doing a divide. 1,000 divided by 175, you get a horrible decimal, 5.714, and so on. Well, it's this horrible decimal multiplier multiplied by £2.25. So to the nearest penny, it's £12.86 for the cheese she'll need for her recipe. On we go. So, on to standard form. So writing as an ordinary number. So if you're not sure, don't forget the power means move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So that'll mean 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros on the end. Or in other words, that number is 450,000. Same with these, 0.007. To write it in standard form, don't forget it's a small number. The decimal point we need to be 1, 2, 3 places there to give us the number 7, and we've moved it 3 times. And then for part C, you're on a calculator paper, so don't do anything daft. Simply type it all in, brackets if you want to, but you get a mark for just sticking it all in your calculator. But then realise it wants it in standard form, 4.73 times 10, and that'll be moving it 1, 2, 3 times. And it's not the largest number, but it's still a positive power. On we go. Number 24. Not everyone's favourite, extremely wordy. Now, as soon as you're getting some kind of best buy scenario where there's bank A, bank B, company A, company B, get that down your page. Company A, Company B. Let's start with Company A. We want to fill 2,400 litres. Now, Company A is 8 litres every 100 seconds. So we divide it by 8 litres. It gives us 300. Now that's 300 lots of the time. That's 300 lots of 100 seconds. So it's taking 30,000 seconds. Let's divide by 60. It's taking 500 minutes to fill. On to Company B. Company B says 2.2 gallons per minute. So 2.2 gallons, we can't just do the divide. We need it in litres first. 2.2 multiplied by 4.54 is 9.988 litres. Now we've got it in litres. Now we can perform the division. And that's giving us, to the nearest minute, 240 minutes. So Company A takes more time. How much more time do it take away? So again, sticking to the nearest minute, no need to use your decimal value that your calculator gave you. Mark scheme's happy with just 260 minutes. Number 25. Don't forget what Fibonacci sequence is. Fibonacci means add 2 terms to get the term that follows. So you earn your first mark. 3a plus 5a is 8a. The sum. Sum means add them all together. That means there are 19 a's in total, worth 228. So to find the value of a, it's 228 divided by your 19, giving you the value of 12. Number 26. In a bag, there are only red, blue, green, and pink. So the 2 we are given adds up to 0.2. So the 2 that are left must add up to 0.8. Now you could use algebra, call one x, call one x plus 0.2. Absolutely would work, but I prefer to just realise that, well, if one's the halfway point would be 0.4, and to be 0.2 out, we go up by 0.1 and down by 0.1. And finally, on to part B, there are 18 blue. So this 0.15 equals 18 blue. Well, let's divide by 3. That'll be 6 blue, or any 6 counters, because we're wanting total. So that's a times by 20. We divided by 3. We times by 20, because 1 will be the probability of all things added up. 6 times 20, giving us 120. So on to question 27. We've got area of a quadrant. So clues in the name. Let's find the area, which treat it like a circle. So pi times the radius squared, but it's a quarter of a circle, so we'll divide it by 4. Most calculators will spit out 16 pi, As we'll leave it like that, saves time and effort, let's do the triangle that we're going to take away. So we've got the base and the height. Half base times height gives us 32 centimetres squared. And so the area of this bit is the quadrant minus the triangle. 16 pi minus 32 rounds off 3 sig figs to 18.3 centimetres squared. Finally, sketching the reciprocal graph, you'll pick up a mark for getting the general shape. Don't touch the axes at all. And in the bottom left, does a similar thing. Again, try not to get too close. Best to just stick with that and you'll pick up both the marks. Hope that's helped on this paper. I'll see you on the next one.